right next door to them. But remember I said Kraber, and Meowdy become even scarier when we consider that that shot just rang out across the map, and LTC know that they are in their sights. Awesome Tryhard's got a great angle here, plenty of loot boxes to use, and most importantly, Meowdy aren't going to be pushed by anyone else.
And the big thing is that they have all those armor swaps available to them. If they want to continue to hold that position, they can absorb so much pressure and continue to get the
that's wave!
But 140 from Garrett, and this is Meowdy's game.
Both squads are crippled down to just the two, and Great Sword on this Gibby, also known as Bullet Sponge, has nothing left to do. We've still got the three teams up, and Meowdy are doing their best to whittle that down. They've got to play both sides of the fight, and Void's unable to heal up, moving us down to two squads, moving us down to one. Meowdy balanced that perfectly, and the end game is absolutely their territory.
That is a third party that you don't see very often, because those teams weren't even really fighting yet. LTC was trying to rotate into a position behind cover. The other squad's laying down a little bit of fire, but that wasn't a fight. And essentially, Meowdy went in and basically grabbed both of them by the collar and yanked them in and then beat them both up at the same time. That was incredible. Meowdy absolutely just decimating. And it all starts with that shot from Garrett. Super clean. Immediately gives them not only the advantage, but a ton of confidence jumping into that fight. And they absolutely just bodied everyone in sight.
It literally, it throws both squads into panic mode. I saw that Who were the other squad outside of LTC that were in the end game with Meowdy, and went, ooh, maybe Meowdy actually lose this, because Who are a really good, experienced roster. But losing one for them meant everything, and it cascaded into this butterfly effect where LTC couldn't focus on the fight, Who couldn't focus on the fight, both of them were trying to disengage at the same time, and there was just no coordination from either to stand up to the pure aggression that we know Meowdy can bring. They didn't put up 92 points accidentally on their first performance in Series E-Quals. These guys love fighting, and they have such mechanical skill individually that they can absolutely do disgusting things like that.
Yeah, and it all started with this chaotic fight between Who and ING that somehow Who came out of, and the fact that they were able to turn this kind of insane start into a top 3 finish has got to feel good. Not sure how much KP Who was able to pick up in this game, and that's one of the things that we were talking about at the top of the day was, can they just lean on heavy placement games, playing for late game, winning 1, maybe 2 fights deep in the game, and make up enough ground to truly compete for the top of the table in qualifiers? We're not sure, but at the very least, great second game there from Who, but the finish from Meowdy was the best, and it brings us to our Mobile 1 high performance moment here. Let's check it out, Dia. And is it going to be the play that I called? It is the beautiful singularity.
I was honestly like, which one is it? Is it going to be the Kraber shot? Is it going to be this? But I love this play because, as you illustrated, it's not only a great play, but it gives us the two sides of Awesome Tryhard. We've been talking about their day 1 performance basically nonstop. That's entirely my fault, so I'm really sorry about it.
No,
but
please.
The fact is, on that day, we saw Awesome Tryhard pull out an incredible performance with a 1v2 to save the team. So we've now seen the two sides of Awesome Tryhard. Both the one that can clutch things up when your team is backed into a corner when you're the last person standing, and the one that can checkmate a squad with a single ability. We all know how powerful Horizontal can be, but teams, even at the highest level, struggle at using it optimally. And the call to put that on the roof is fight-changing. It's checkmate.
Yeah, and the fact that you can use that singularity through walls and really punish teams and put it in a place where it can't be nearly as easily broken is what makes the Horizon so strong, is you can entirely throw off a team's positioning, and they don't really have a choice in the matter, and especially when you can lay down the grenades on top of it, inside of an enclosed space, there's nothing you can do, and it's a big reason why Meowdy take that fight and why they went on to take the game. They have been dominant so far, Dia, and we'll have to see if they can keep it rolling. We're going to Game 3 in just a little bit. We're going to hit a quick break, but Dia and I'll be back very, very soon. Our first few games of the day belong to our top two competitors so far. Buff Aim Assist with the win in game number 1, and now, Meowdy in game number 2 with a big W, and that'll shift things in our Mobile 1 leaderboard here, Diaz. These teams duking it out to try and qualify for Season 6 of Series E Apex Legends, and Meowdy jumping right up to the top ahead of Buff Aim Assist on this one.
You said it was going to shift things up, and in my head I went, yeah, I bet it will. It didn't as much as I thought. 7 points, not terrifying, not insurmountable for Buff Aim Assist. However, the fact that Slepton are still right next door does mean that all of our top squads are really heavy fraggers. Buff Aim Assist, I'd say the least of those. One of the squads way more focused on placement, which is fascinating to see, especially considering how early they died last time. It is worth saying that this zone was a little bit harder to play when it came to being able to set yourself up in a really good choke point, a little bit more difficult to predict, and going into Game 3, I can't help but wonder whether the results from Game 1 or Game 2 will be what Buff Aim Assist falls closer to.
We'll have to find out, though. We're ready to jump here onto World's Edge for our third game of the day. And you talked about these starts down at Lava City, Dia, and how Meowdy have been starting games so strong. And we'll see if they're able to maybe pick up some early KP here, or if they just get the free drop and loot and get things rolling once again. But they're going to try and follow up their Game 2 performance with a second win in a row.
I'm hoping that we continue to see some real Meowdy games that are high octane. I say it again. I use that word a little too often. I admit it.
Hey, but, it worked on multiple levels. I was a big fan.
It's really fun. It's really fun to say in Apex, but I like it. It feels really good when Meowdy are succeeding because they look so clean when they team fight. And it isn't so much about how well they're playing the macro. I'll be honest with you guys. It is really about just how good they are at being able to take their individual 1v1s and oftentimes even 1v2s as they move to the ring. Rings like this that pull up towards Countdown and likely the Sniper Tower right off to the north of Landslide, if I'm honest, are going to give them a lot of opportunity to do that, as they've got plenty of open ground to fight through, moving through Lava Siphon, the open ground outside of Fragment, and even the choke points just off to the eastern side of Landslide.
We've already got 2 southern zones so far today. Of course, we started with that choke point between Thermal Station and Lava Fissure in Game 1. We had the Lava Siphon finish in Game 2, and now we're headed up towards Countdown and Landslide here this time around. So this should certainly switch some things up here, and a pretty dense collection of squads up on the northern half of the map. So we could see either a ton of blood in this early game as teams fight for position already in the circle, or we could see, if teams decide to play it a little slower, a more densely packed later circle. I'm leaning more towards option 1 just based on how this lobby has played so far, but it's going to be interesting to see how these squads adjust to this more northern circle.
Now, to be honest with you, so I feel like we're watching Pro Leagues. Nobody's died yet. It is unprecedented.
Calm down.
Calm
Qualifiers.
Down. This is not the pace that I'm used to playing our games at as normally.
Already, do you?
We've got there's the fight. There's the fight. We finally got one with Underworld going up against presumably Meowdy, who would have just come up from Lava City. This is a very dangerous fight for Underworld, who got wiped out pretty darn quickly last game, and who right now are actually taking aggressive positions on the roof. I like the spot that Modsk is in, and without a pylon on the inside, these nades actually will get a lot of value. Great toss, and now time for them to go, as they've already isolated one member, and Crimey is down, leaving Underworld in the advantage, but interestingly not against Meowdy.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is not a member of Meowdy, so this is possibly an easier fight here for Underworld. Is peeking through the door. That's going to be a couple of great shots with the EVA 8. Shield's broken on that Seer, and they're just trying to box these players in. They're going to get Flesh on one. The Watson cracked here as well. Goodbye, 705 Esports.
Nice play from them, and it makes me wonder where 705 started off. There's actually a good chance that they were pushed out of a Lava City rotation by Meowdy's departure there. We didn't see everyone who landed in Lava City, so there's a good shot that that's how that went down. The fact is that with now 19 squads left, Underworld actually get themselves a nice bit of points that they were otherwise missing, but still need to boogie it into the ring on a very difficult rotation. Team Revenge don't have that same problem, having already set themselves up in Countdown, and with a crypto as well. They've got free reign on wherever they choose to land, because they'll have the drone to be able to scan out where the next zone will go.
Yeah, and I would say my guess is Meowdy probably either headed north to Big Mod or skipped it to head kind of through Lava Siphon, because they do have that longer rotation. They have a bit of a ways to go, so we'll have to see where they're at. But we're checking in with Buff Aim Assist, and McLovin is already down here, but the Roos have been taken out, but he and the squad's still in trouble, because guess what? Heat is here as well.
This is the squad that I haven't seen pop off yet today. I think they're going to take this Valk out of the sky, though. Buff Aim Assist do go down. A nice final shot from Polar Bear finally gives Hita what I presume they've been looking for all day, as our squad that, again, placed first in our second qualifier, but has been relatively silent during our third. Redeem, I don't know where that went. I am not a developer. I have no clue what's going on. Redeem don't either. Already, Crojo's burning down to that thermite, and I suppose that gravity lift meant a lot more to them, because now there's only one member of Team Revenge left standing and none of Redeem. LTC should be able to clean this up, no problemo, as there's, again, just a single member escaping right now. But the fact is, that gravity lift was pretty disastrous. I'm sorry.
I always get nervous when I see those kinds of interactions, because I never see crypto in my games, so I'm always worried. I'm like, is that an interaction that I just don't know about because I never see crypto? Like, does his ult normally kill the gravity lift? And then I look at him like, that can't be true. Like, that had to just been a bug, but that's a bit of a feels bet. Don't know if it really changes anything there, but
oh my God,
you do hate to see it. But LTC Esports here, they're at 16 points inside the top 10 so far today, but haven't really gotten a whole lot done. They've gotten some solid placement points and a handful of kills in both games, but this is the LTC Esports squad that when they came into their first open night during the season, and it's important to remind the folks at home that LTC Esports qualified for Series E open night during Season 5 by competing at an esports arena inside of a Walmart store. And they came out and were very surprising and impressive in their first performance, and I've had high expectations for them since, and I would love to see them continue to perform here in the qualifiers. It's going to be a tough test for them to try and get into Series E this season. The competition ahead of them is going to be very difficult to deal with, but I hope LTC continues to come around, because I've very much enjoyed watching them compete since the first time they came through.
Good pickup from Who. They do still have a fight to take against a Mirage, so really like 8 people basically in this fight. Vize is getting out-angled like heck, has nowhere to go, and just like that, even though they got the banner recovery, Who are out. ING able to take that fight really well. I'm going to toss it back just a second. I know what I'm doing. That gravity lift, I think, got canceled by the pylon. I think that's what happened, which is an interaction that I've seen. Which is crazy. Yeah,
we just didn't notice the pylon yet.
Yeah, I think that was it. This time, though, we do know there's a pylon in play. I've already seen a few rockets, a few nades canceled. I don't know what Meowdy are going to do about it. It's pushing into a PK is not something that I'm used to, but they may feel a little bit more confident, being the gamers that they are. Out goes that black hole that we've already seen them use once. It does not get canceled. Instead, whipping Watson into the danger zone, and Underworld are just gone. That's that's
Garrett's just
that's
like, what?
rough. Probably the Valkyl wasn't going to help, but I you know what? I respect the attempt. Fighting Meowdy is not something I'd want to do either.
Unfortunate. We go back over to Slept On, though, and they're in a tough spot once again. They're going to be able to get the banner here for their teammate and try and get Psycho back, but the problem is Karma's just going to immediately go down, and Goat, with already shields broken, does have a couple of batteries available, going to throw out that gravity lift to try and buy a little bit of time. It's actually going to carry Karma right to him, so this res should come through, but where is the push from this enemy team? Slept On going to be able to get that res off for the time being. How does it work out? Ooh, just able to sneak through into the elevator.
Sapphire's actually still being shot through the window as well, so things are very spooky. Zero Marksman didn't actually end up following up on the push. after the knock we saw on Slept On. They've been playing things inside of Fragment and pretty locked down as well. I think just recognizing the squad density, and they don't want to be third-partied. This res, I don't believe, goes off as Moonshine was able to interrupt it effectively, chewing through that Newcastle barrier, setting themselves up for a little bit more extended of a fight. Skyward Dive is still available, but as we've already seen with Underworld, taking that with squads around can be really deadly. So the fact that Zero Marksmen are sitting here speaks more to the fact that they're likely to be trying to claim kills leaving Fragment than anything else.
In the zone pulling out to the eastern side here of Countdown, there's a lot of empty space over here to the north side of Landslide. So some very interesting circles centering very much not around a POI, but out in open space. Going back to game one, remember that choke point between Thermal Station and Lava Fissure, and this time it looks like it may end out in the kind of no man's land here east of Countdown. Meanwhile, Zero Marksman, they're on the eastern edge of this zone, just getting out of Fragment for the time being, and Fully Torqued has found a squad in 142 tag. Your free XP and maybe even KP as well here.
No way, that's not a kill. Fully Torqued have got to go for this. There's the double knock from them, and we got to imagine a clean up as Fully Torqued take out FA Bunny. Zero Marksmen are coming around the corner, and we know that Meowdy could be coming up right behind this, either going through the train tunnel or here. Vosky's already got someone in his sights. The G7 has been on point today, and the Grav Lift will save you, but just barely. Zero Marksmen do manage to make their entry frag into this choke point, but haven't pushed too much further yet. Papa Midget's taking a different fight, scouting out the northern side of this choke point and actually wrapping around on a squad they've already got scans on. We could see a few more knocks here as Zero Marksmen, much like Meowdy, are playing two fights at once.
LTC a little further west of where Zero Marksman is set up, and they're going to eat some shots from the squad here as they look to get over towards this western edge. Meanwhile, awesome tryhard there with the Meowdy squad just beaming Moonshine. That's going to be one down, and they're looking for more, and I think they might have found Fully Torqued. I know I saw your free XP go down a little bit ago. We'll have to check in on that here in a little bit. Slept On is in the area as well.
Slept On versus Meowdy is a matchup I absolutely want to see. We talked about Zero Marksman being the thing that Meowdy were focused on, but now you probably got to turn right back around with Karma on your tail. And at this choke point as well, Slept On lose Goat, and that's the trigger that Meowdy needed to send it forward. A 2 versus 3 has always been their zone, and since they've got the rockets coming down as well, Awesome Tryhard's health being low is of no concern. Meowdy have got another 2 KP to go along with the 8 that they already have, and honestly are looking for more before they have to walk in.
Now, this is the Meowdy that we were talking about earlier. We said, you know, hey, they don't have to play aggressive. They can play slow, play for position, and let the game come to them if they want. They don't have to go for it, but they can also just lean into the style that has gotten them to where they are right now, and that's exactly what they're doing in this game. All that KP going so well for them is here is Fully Torqued, and that's Poized trying to keep them alive as the only remaining member, but ING will take them down.
I am so upset that he didn't win that. Hitting 200 shots on the PK and a 60 on top of it. We've got a player robbed on World's Edge, but ING, quite rightly so, have made their way into the top 6 squads with hell to pay on both sides. This is not a position that I envy, knowing, as we both do, that we've got Meowdy coming in from this most eastern part of the ring. There is still Sniper Tower to play. ING needing access to that if they want to go for it. Zero Marksman as well have their favorite spot available up on that height, but Dame's taken it, and Zero Marksman, unfortunately, are down to just one member in Voski.
We got a wrap, folks. Voski just hiding behind one of these boxes. Nerdy Esports may not spot them there, just outside of that tunnel. They haven't seen anything yet, and they do have a Bloodhound Well, without the heartbeat sensor of a seer, there is a chance that you escape. They do have some information that somebody came through here recently, but it looks like they're actually going to move out and maybe draw the attention. Voski doesn't want to get ticked by the zone here. Biding their time, is going to get some shots. Actually, 116 there onto the Newcastle Flesh on another, but Voski's in a pretty untenable situation.
Almost gets that knock. How disastrous would that have been, especially on a Newcastle? There's the scan, though, and the creeping mobile shield that spells the demise of Zero Marksman. A nice Singularity actually buys a lot of time with a Thermite to deal some extra damage. The car is doing work for Voski, and he's going to find the knock on one. There's going to be attention attracted to this fight as well. A full thirst on the Bloodhound incoming, and that's a kill collected for Zero Marksman, even in the depths of their despair. Nerdy Esports are eliminated, and Voski, now focused down by Meowdy, should be leaving us, but still manages to stay alive for these extra few seconds before they finally go down.
And somehow, Nerdy Esports goes out before Voski there, able to get the thirst to get that armor and just survive long enough so that when Meowdy goes for the peak, doesn't die immediately. So hey, a little extra bit of placement points there, going to feel very good. That final KP2 going to be nice. It's now Hida. Zero Marksman out. It's Hida, Meowdy, ING, and one more.
Meowdy have made their way into the nice fence line. A really well-playable area. We actually saw Meowdy win from where Hida were playing previously. An initial knock onto Garrett. Well, it is nasty. Will not ultimately let Hida push.
Oh, the 210. It feels so good. It feels so good. Going for the shot on the grab lift. Not going to land that one, but regardless, Hida looking good.
If he'd hit that, that was not only a crazy play, but absolutely a squad wipe. Even with 4 teams left, you haven't got that much to fear if you end up knocking 2. He'd have still got Meowdy in their sights, but with LTC up on this high ground, they're going to be the determiners of a lot of this game, as LTC do have the best angle to be able to lock out squads from their rotation in currently. One moving up from the south, as he to get the opportunity to just focus on Meowdy for the time being. Round 4 should pass relatively uneventfully. I'm scared.
Man. Obsessed just cannot miss right now, and is just doing such a good job of using this Kraber to keep these teams on their heels. Atlas is that 4th squad still left alive, and we saw moments ago ING actually took out Rocky the Slouch, so using that high ground to their advantage, and now ING just trying to find some bit of cover here right on the cliffs and keep this squad at bay, as that's Arivant going to get some good damage as there comes the Singularity.
I really like the position they have, but ING know that it is tenuous. A Skynade could open things up. Even pushing onto a 2-person squad, though, could open them up for disaster. Look at this flank from Yazix! Finding the knock onto Lockley and opening things up for just that 1v3. Meowdy have already started on the push, though, and ING might lose their high ground for this. Audiobot does manage to find barely the kill in time. A slick shield swap keeps him up, but Meowdy have recognized weakness and taken high ground from ING, eliminating Dame and now focusing down on Yazix.
And this goes back to the conversation we had earlier, Dia. Teams playing those later circles a little slower. ING not doing that. They got greedy. They wanted the KP, and it means they essentially completely concede their high ground as well as one member of the squad. And Meowdy take advantage. They're now on 12 KP. They've got the high ground advantage here, and they may go back-to-back.
That's a nice nade right over the corner. It's going to do a decent amount of damage. 93 to the face. Dame still finished off now by Meowdy. Has whittled us down to just the 3 squads, one of which is absolutely crippled. ING gonna have a really difficult time winning this now. It's really a fight between these 2 squads. Maybe just the one as Meowdy dominate, obsessed on this low ground. They throw everything at this one player just to make sure that the 2 squads left have no chance of facing up in a straight-up squad fight. Audiovant's able to get a little bit more loot on the side by popping that Mirage ult, but it's going to be utility now expended and not enough time to get that cooldown back with 10 seconds left on the zone.
This is Meowdy's game right here. They have done everything that they need to do. Of course, they got a little assist from ING conceding the high ground here, and now Meowdy has all of the control. You can see they've already got 55 points overall, 14 KP in this game. An absolute banger from the squad, and they're just looking to pick up 4 more if they can do so. Polar Bear and Bokiyu holding right below them here on the sniper tower, and ING just across from them. And then we'll see Polar Bear trying to get one of these little higher opportunities, but Polar Bear is going to go down.
That was a genius recognition of weakness. Hida are down, and ING simply cannot capitalize. Now it's the 3v2, what Meowdy had set themselves up for from the beginning with both of these squads. Awesome Tryhard eats the damage from above. A Singularity causes problems. They lose one, and Audubon on the top gets beamed by Garrett as he manages to retake the height. It's Awesome Tryhard and Garrett, the two with the most verticality against the world. Yazix goes down, and Meowdy farm the lobby for a second time, finding themselves a win in Game 3.
A just textbook finish from the side of Meowdy here. Of course, you probably don't want Cody to go down in that fight, but when you recognize you've got that numbers advantage and you're able to pretty decisively clean up the team on the low right below you, you're in a just fine position even when that third squad comes in as ING, because you still have that numbers advantage, and just the decisive call to take away the low ground as that circle closed when ING stopped occupying it to push for the KP that I don't know that I quite agree with. And Meowdy just set themselves up in the perfect position to where they have view on the entire final circle, and they've got the safest position to defend from, and they just push it to a win. Well played.
And this game was really about being able to utilize height. We saw it even from the beginning with Underworld being able to find these really nice picks early on, but they who were in the higher position oftentimes won, even to the point that Redeem, without that gravity lift, couldn't quite finish a fight. It really does provide a lot of control to have height, even when it comes with a little bit more focus from other people. As Horizon and her more frequent pick rate has really demonstrated recently in Apex Legends. We saw an action-packed game, but I will say, Yeso, one that was a little bit slower, and to my liking, as we got to see a lot more strategic play from our teams that made it into the end game, to the point where when ING pushed, we, like Meowdy, recognized exactly what was about to happen and the chess game that we were about to see unfold.
Yeah, I think when you get those slower paced games, you get this kind of nice, steady ramp up as the game goes on, whereas when you get a ton of 50-50s in early action, you just get this kind of really big dip in the middle and a late game that isn't quite as compelling. But when you get more and more teams packed into those later circles, it's a blast to watch how teams work around that positioning, open up those sight lines to try and get some KP, keep teams at bay, and work around just the littlest bits of cover that they can find. I'm always a big fan of it myself. Let's check out, though, our Mobile One high performance moment here as we close out our first half of today's competition, and it's the finish here from Meowdy.
This is another, I think, really excellent highlight from Meowdy, not just being able to frag out, but being able to make a really smart decision in a difficult end game. Despite the fact that there are two squads that have only the 2 players, there's actually a really good shot that ING can win this game, because so often in these end games, a team like Meowdy is going to be forced to fight as the ring closes, going up against Hida and maybe dropping a member, evening up that fight. The fact that Meowdy take this fight so decisively and way earlier than ING would have expected gives them the opportunity to clean things up on Hida and then turn their attention as a 3-man to ING. It is absolutely the right call, and at the high performance that we're getting today really does seem cognitive more than anything.
The best part here is that also that little wall bounce from Awesome Tryhard turning into the PK shot to finish off Hida. That is definitely my favorite part of this play. But yeah, just well played from Meowdy, and they finish with a ton of KP. 18 overall after cleaning up the final members here of ING. So that is a 30-point game from Meowdy, and they go back to back, and they are in hands down the best spot. and they're going to likely eclipse the 200-point threshold overall with their performance here tonight. They might have already done it, if I'm being completely honest, and they're definitely the leaders in the clubhouse, I would say, from a traditional sports perspective. And can anybody challenge them? We'll have to see if Buff, Aim Assist, or any of these other squads can do so when we come back for Game 4.
Listen up, esports should be for everyone. That's why Esports Arena's launched our own tournament series called Player vs. Everyone, where you get to compete at multiple different titles, multiple different locations, whenever you want. Just watch this and check it out. I believe we have the best Apex Legends PvE player. Oh, I think he's close to breaking the record. Best Apex Legends player in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Whoa, whoa, Tyler, hold up a second. We got someone out here in Salt Lake about to smash the record. What'd I tell you? Salt Lake City every time.
PvE has something for everyone. Here in Miami, we absolutely crush it at Mario Kart. Come to the final part. Oh, there we go. And that's going to be the top score for the day. See if you can beat that on the leaderboard.
The day's not over yet, Luke. Here at Esports Arena Cincinnati, we have somebody who's going to beat the Mario Kart record. So close. But the good news is you can always try again.
That's PvE in a nutshell. So find your nearest esports arena because it could be you atop the leaderboard. See you later.
Welcome back to Series E preseason qualifiers, ladies and gents. I'm still Dia, but we've swapped the ASO out for T Squared. Hi, T Squared.
This is the ghost of T Squared Pass. Oh.
It's getting real spooky in October, and it's not just because T Squared is ghostly, but because Meowdy are terrifying everyone in the lobby. Let's take a look at that Mobile 1 leaderboard to see exactly how scary they are. T Squared, 66 points is already cursed, but when second is 32, it gets even more terrifying.
Yeah, and thanks for updating me, on what was going on here, because I was wondering, I was like, Meowdy, I know these guys. Wait, that's the team that was already in first place, and they're coming out and continuing to just dominate this lobby. 66 points after 3 games, Dia. Absolutely ridiculous. They have to feel so confident now over these next 3 matches.
Yeah, I mean, their end games have just been really impressive as well. Even going up against ING at the end of last game, one of our only squads that I've ever seen running a Mirage, they managed to keep their cool and clutch up the W. Now going into the 4th game of the day, we aren't swapping over anything. We're staying on World's Edge all day, and that means that all these squads get to continue the consistent performances that they've already shown us, and maybe, just maybe, Buffet Mistress can get a little bit of their mojo back and start at least throwing a wrench in the plans of Meowdy, if not dethroning them.
Yeah, I've had an opportunity to play with ING Addy a little bit on that Mirage and ranked in the last couple of splits, and the dude's an absolute monster. Not only is he nasty at the game, but Mirage a very underutilized legend, not meta at all. So to be able to play a legend that is kind of lower tier and play that well is extremely impressive to me. But someone's going to have to slow this team down right here, and it's tough because they have 3 really strong players on their team, and when you combine that with great teamwork, it makes it very difficult to deal with. Cody, great individually. Garrett, great individually. Awesome tryhard, amazing on this horizon. Not only that, this POI, all of Lava City, plus Big Mod, some of the best POIs that you could potentially get. Now we see what's going on with the Ruse, and it looks like they're in a little bit of a scuffle already early on in this game. A couple knocks coming in on both sides.
I mean, we already know from our solo queue games that Fragment is the place to be, but it hasn't been the case, at least today. FA Bunny is holding on by a thread right now, do have a knock in their favor, but still have squads pushing up on them. For right now, Ruse are looking like they could take this with just a breath on Sapphire, who hasn't been able to set up the fences just yet. Boffy's not in too much better of a position, though, and with this fuse, has to find a creative way of dealing damage. Really nice knuckle cluster could just be it, as the knockdown shield does manage to do some work keeping these players alive, and Boffy is struggling to actually get an angle on this engagement.
Yeah, Boffy's going to have to do something big here, and this could be third-party central. Fortunately, they're kind of further away from the east-hand side. Great job blocking the door over here, and this is when you just go for the full heal. Fake res on over towards the door is going to end up forcing a big play from Sapphire Flames, and you can see he's a little bit nervous. He needs to go and heal up right here, hit some sort of syringes, most likely already out of cells. Fences need to be going down in as many areas as possible, but he only has 1 charge.
The Arc Star doesn't really work out either, so that door's not going to be broken. It's a matter of pushing the 3rd floor, and he's just got no access to it. Raze is back in the fight, and it's essentially a 2 versus 3 right now, despite the low health bar that Raze has. Ruse are going to get the opportunity to interrupt any other reses that would go down, as they're struggling a little bit to find this very last Watson. But once they do, the rewards are going to be glorious. Raze comes around the corner, and with the PK, deals some serious damage. Boffy opened up now to walk there with the knuckle cluster, do even more of it to a Watson that simply cannot move right now. It's not even close, and FA Bunnies, they're gone.
Bunnies versus Ruse, still don't know if it's the Kangaroos, but this is an absolute brutal battle over towards the Fragment side to start, and again, fortunately, no third parties came in. I mean, third parties could have came in from Epicenter, they could have came from a lot of different sides as we go and we look at this Fragment zone, the pull away from Fragment going down over towards Geyser, and that's why, because the team that was Fragment East got the scan, realized, hey, we're going to go and set up, try to get there early in that no-name Geyser area. And there's a handful of different endings over here, Dia. You could have that classic ending that kind of is right at the, B and Big Mod, almost that past the choke, and that's exactly where you can see the team from Geyser is starting to rotate. And my money would be on holding one of these buildings over here and then trying to rotate on top of the bridge. You could even have a team, if they're playing really confident, to hold on top of the bridge. And this is going to be great for Meowdy because they're going to have a lot of kill opportunities once they're done looting.
Yeah, especially because an already scary squad has bought themselves so much space. You talked about how they get Lava City and Big Mod, and they didn't at the start of the day. It was a fight for Lava City, and yet because they're so terrifying and are able to take fights so quickly, they earn themselves those 2 POIs, making them even scarier in these late games. Scary as slept on. Wish they could be. They've already had a good game 1, but have taken a little bit of chill pill in games number 2 and 3. Maybe, just maybe, with a little bit of a grab lift from Goat, they can start kicking this one off right. Moonshine's already down and in Overlook. They're isolated. Slept on can take this fight real quick, and Goat's already up in the air with Karma there to absorb you as you drop down. Crimey is fallen, and it's Psycho and Goat who are left to clean up Zero Marksman.
Really well played there from Karma. I mean, everything from the positioning to when to ADS and not to ADS, when to go up into the air on Valkyrie, when not to, the push coming in from Goat to go and take the grab lift up to force the one player down once they've already had the 2v3 was just really on point. Now you can see Key and a couple of players going down. That's 705 Esports getting eliminated. 3 kills now on over to Tanger, feeling good about the situation. And this is the brawls that Meowdy's looking for. Teams are going to start rotating on over towards where the zone's going to pull, and Underworld feeling the brunt of the first place team. That's how you do it right there. So clean that they don't even have to worry about this third party coming through quite yet.
Garrett gets the participation award for that fight and instantly has to back off. Chadamus Prime looking for this engagement, aren't going to quite find the exit damage that they were looking for. Instead getting turned around on now and still frying. Adam takes a second to reset, but is out-angled and spots folks out on the rock. Now having to watch his back with a shield swap right next door. Second nade gets thrown out and Adam's heal gets cancelled, giving up information on Chadamus Prime and forcing a reset. A reset that should let Meowdy play this on their terms.
I really love the way that AM's playing this because, you know, one more shot right there, and I feel like he gets the one clip, but someone else needed to focus that door, and unfortunately right now, a lot of these missile swarms are not taking down the doors, so he had to use a lot of his utility. Now the third and fourth parties are starting to roll through. The shots for Epoxy Flooring God looking smooth. There goes the Maggie Q coming in on over towards the bubble to do some extra damage, but they need to realize the situation. There's another team in the area, and Meowdy could easily pounce on this. And sometimes you got to be lucky, sometimes you got to be good. Meowdy's getting a little bit of both right now because they have a kill opportunity right around the corner.
Chadamus Prime are feeling absolutely robbed, cornered now, since they had such a great positioning, and Meowdy have been allowed to escape with the distraction that AOG are providing. They could, as you say, re-enter the fray, and we see from our perspective that they're thinking about it as well. Meowdy are starting to walk up, and this should be spotted by AOG, who are healing around the outside. Max is going to get lasered from the roof as Garrett claims another kill. AOG lose their second member, and Meowdy start pushing up with AOG already gone. It's Chadamus Prime that are still left to fall with a Seer on the roof. Cody's got some good angles. Garrett's healing up, and Awesome Tryhard gets to continue the pressure.
4 teams now in the backhand side of Dome. What a wild rotation coming through. Inspire Academy needs to heal up Aragu, needs to hit a syringe here, and that's exactly what he's going for. Not enough time to go for the full med kit. I like the shots coming in from the grab lift that Matt laid down, and you can see everybody taking on over towards the sky, but they got to be careful because, again, Seer is going to be in the area. Stopping the heals could end up making you die to the storm, and that's why Matt is electing to go for this early med kit. I would expect maybe even more teams to come back here. We still have 12 squads remaining in Zone 2, a very fast-paced game number 4 so far.
Very much so, and a real reset from game number 3 that allowed a lot of teams to play things slower. Chadamus Prime included in that, got the opportunity to chill out for a little while and wait for other teams to really settle into the zone. Now we're down to just 12, with the Zone 1 having just closed. Chadamus Prime do have that respawn should they be able to find access to a beacon, perhaps in Lava City, as it seems like Southpaw is eyeing right now, but Slacking is going to be really hard-pressed to find a safe entry, as Meowdy might get a scan, and even making that even more complicated, they're already in Lava City, already making sure that getting access to that respawn beacon is basically impossible for any other squad.
Yeah, and they also have the replicator here, and after a big skirmish like that, you want to replenish your resources. I mean, you already have 5 batteries coming through, so you don't necessarily need any. It's a big black hole coming through, and then Nade somehow doesn't get taken down by the interception pylon. Team Revenge gets dropped. This is a team that if you give them momentum, you got to watch out. If you're Meowdy, we know what they're capable of. First week of qualifiers for the ALGS, falling 1 point short to Team ESA, and now they are starting to gain a little bit of confidence over here. And this is definitely a team that is on my radar to potentially make it into Series E throughout this qualification process. A couple controller players getting their loot, also in a prime position for where the zone potentially moves. Remember, we're talking about it going on over top of those train tracks. Rocking over towards Grandma's house is going to be a phenomenal spot. And right now, they're basically, Dia, just looking for the teams that were scared and set up in buildings, because you want to play confident in these qualifiers. You want to go and take the fight to them. That's something that we saw in the Rewired Festival tournament, where if there's teams setting up early in the zone, it's really a sign of not being confident in your team fighting skills. And that's why you run around and you try to find out where those weaknesses could be, especially with the current meta of having Seer and Horizon being able to infiltrate in these buildings.
Slept-On are pushing up on Who, though, and there's another squad coming in from the side. Something that's bitten Slept-On more than once is getting a little bit too aggressive on these fights, and Goat's got to play things careful as I keep my eye over to the west, where he could have been beamed. They take a moment to reset, however, already inside of this zone without information on where the next one's going. If Slept-On wait 30 seconds, they'll have a much better idea of how to cut other teams off, as everybody will be desperate to find themselves a little bit of a better position inside of the next circle. For the moment, Karma's going to be able to lay in damage from afar and play things relatively calm as a care package lands next to them as well, giving Slept-On even more of an edge in a lobby where they're already going strong.
And all of the fighting is taking place in positions going over towards the zone, which you love to see. It's not, on the opposite side of the map. It's all justified in terms of where they want to move, as we see where zone number 3 is going to go. And it continues to kind of pull exactly where Who is setting up. This is that area that I was talking about where the end zone could potentially be at, over towards this blue trailer, maybe moving a little bit over towards that eggshell area, going on over towards Lava City, which means there's most likely going to be a team in this building and a team inside of the geyser choke. Plus, you have to worry about Meowdy coming on over towards the side. You still have Slept-On making the way over from that no-name and Lava Siphon area. So while this is, where the zone may end up pulling, you are going to have to put down a really great interception pylon from teams that aren't going to be focusing you. Gibby's going to be here for great swords, so I think this is a good composition to go and lock this down. You could put Newcastle instead of Gibby there and set up similar to like we've seen LTC do in the past, but this is what Slept-On's trying to do. They're running around looking for teams inside buildings, and they want to push.
Oh, you know they do. Right now, they're waiting for one of these doors to be cracked or to be opened preemptively. Goat's gonna pop up, and he's just gonna knock this one out of the park. That's already so much damage down, but Goat's taking some right back. Shields are gone, and you're likely eating damage from Who at this point as well. Karma almost goes down in the middle of a shield bat, and a nade is really ruining Slept-On's day, as they simply can't take that 3v3. They attract way too much attention from other squads, and Atlas, fortunately enough for them, get help from the rest of the lobby.
Rocky the Slouch was down to a sliver of HP. Speaking of LTC, they're going with a more aggressive composition over here. Bubble's going to be down inside of the Vault Tunnel. Dan is going to go and try to do the entry frag over here as multiple Arc Stars and frag grenades push him in. There goes the Q, showing exactly where these players are. Gibby a little bit out of position, and Daniel with no hesitation, Dia pushing in and just punishing Chatham as prime. U-Turtle, and that's what happens, but Meowdy's here to answer the call.
And now there's no way for you to escape either. Vault is such a death trap. Even with Garrett taking a lot of damage, Meowdy should have this. Another great black hole goes out, sucking in 2 players, ruining the position of the squad on the inside. And LTC surely don't have a chance now. Cody's gone low, but Awesome Tryhard slides by with that PK and destroys them.
That's how you evaluate the situation right there. If you're Awesome Tryhard, you throw the black hole over towards the backhand side. You'd immediately focus the other player that doesn't get sucked in. Use that AoE to focus the player on over towards the left, which is the Valkyrie. The shots with the PK switching on over. So I believe that was a flat line with the 3X. Just putting in some serious damage in that close range situation. McLovin doing the same thing over here. The flat line just puts in serious work. Buff aim assist in second place, but they have so many kills to make up now that Meowdy continues to have a good performance.
Playing around the outside now, they're eating a lot of damage as well. Even a third party coming in onto what was an attempted gatekeep. Lox is going low, and who have started paying attention to this rapid around to clean up Key and play the low ground themselves in unorthodox way to work this final zone out, as now they'll have to move up to the bridge while keeping their eye on the squads behind them.
Yeah, the bridge is going to be very important, but the good thing is there's a lot of playable area over here, right? These rocks are going to be safe. You can play underneath the bridge on 2 different levels. Typically, the very bottom floor, not going up onto the arch in the second level, it's going to be better. So you can see them kind of just holding that low ground, expecting good things to happen. Now on board with ING, that's going to be 2 knocks immediately. Goat's going to be there to answer the call. This is going to be Team Slept On taking over this building that they originally tried to push through, and hopefully being able to get Psycho back up if they can hit that res while Goat goes and watches the door. They're going to be in a good spot. That's exactly what they're doing. Big, massive shots coming in from the other side. Fully torqued with the third and fourth party. Slept On going out in 7th. Looks like they should be free for some armor swaps, but awesome tryhard from downtown with the flatline.
That means Meowdy is starting to pay attention to this. They're already so close. They closed that gap so ridiculously quickly that Prob Garrett should have this no problem. He cleans up 3 kills on the back of that. And with the Seer ult already down, Meowdy have reset, having taken no damage, and are looking for another fight. That's the knock on Oragu, and Meowdy have more kills that are knocking up right next to them. Garrett's got to get inside real low, avoids that Watson fence just barely, and is going to be able to hit up a shield swap in the corner right here. Meowdy, fortunately enough for them, managed to stay alive. All 3 of them still up, and the heals going off as this circle gets more chaotic. We're in 3 squad territory right now, and Meowdy, by wiping out just one, put themselves in the best spot possible.
The shots from Garrett were just absolutely insane. There goes the Syracuse. Matt completely caught off guard over here. That's going to be a free armor swap for Cody if he wants it, but he's just going to get back inside the building, elect to go and heal that red armor up, and now you can see with the player outlines exactly where everybody is going to be located. Perfect execution from Meowdy. You can see why they are in first place. Not just the timing for everything. The shots are some of the best you're ever going to see. I mean, the wingman was on point. The flatline shots, the PK, you're rarely seeing them miss a single shot.
These players are just incredible, and they're doing what they do best, what they did last game, whittling down the teams that they have to face off in the end game. They're not going for 3v3s and saying, we need to kill these guys now. They're picking one member and saying, you know what, Matt's isolated. Let's take out one member of Spire and make their journey into the late game so much more difficult. See if we can bully them with our better positioning into griefing Who's game. It's already worked for them in the past, and it's likely to continue working for them, as Who are sitting on the bridge right now wondering what on earth is going on with the rest of the lobby.
And they're so separated that if you see where Meowdy is located and Meowdy is able to focus the team inside a Lava Siphon, why wouldn't they just completely send it on them? And they have such an advantage right now. When you look at the armor situation, they have an extra 50, they have an extra 100 armor advantage, which is almost the equivalent of an entire player by themselves. So you have a great opportunity for Meowdy here to win another game, add to that point total already, and try to separate themselves on that accumulative leaderboard.
Garrett gets pinged out by Greatsword, but it's not even on a necessarily aggressive push, but just one that's meant to bully, who know that if a single knock goes down, that they have to press their W keys. They can't get too far away from this, but Greatsword and Wave have already decided this is a foregone conclusion. We need to set ourselves up for later. Oragu's down as Garrett gets that knock. Natty falls right back down to the sky, and Who, now separated by a chasm, have to somehow find a way to close this gap. Meowdy have already taken out Spire. Vize's trying to come across the bridge, and he gets routed by Awesome Tryhard. It's a 3v3 in the endgame that Meowdy are in full control of.
And they have the 75 armor advantage right now. But not only that, that forced them to cross the bridge to try a third party, and they took a handful of damage there. So right now, the play has to be for Awesome Tryhard to drop down low, try to find a couple more grenades, Armor swaps are going to go in, but we're most likely going to see a grav lift into the black hole coming in from Awesome Tryhard. You could even go and push down into the crevice here and then go and make your play, because you don't want them to throw a defensive bombardment on you. You don't have to let this kind of slowly choke you out so your positioning ends up being predictable. I like this aggressive play. You've already dominated the lobby. Why not just push through immediately?
It's so scary to play. Is up to the sky, go the nades. If this finds a chunk, that is it. The grab lift means everything here. And Prob Garrett slowly climbing. Already has Cody in the lead. This trigger pull from Meowdy is going to be quick, and it is going to be deadly. Awesome Tryhard waiting for the rest of the cracks to come through, for any attention to be diverted away from this horizon and the shenanigans that they can throw out to the rest of the lobby. But with these squads inches from each other, everyone is waiting for this final zone to really force it together.
Yeah, there's two players separated, so that's when the grab lift could end up coming through, but now it's been a little bit predictable, and they have the zone dropping over towards them, so they're wondering, is it worth it to go and try to risk this? Do we full send on this over here when we have the zone directly pulling towards us? I would love to see Meowdy just pull the trigger on this. They have the confidence. They've already, again, put up so much damage in this lobby. They're already in first place. But right now, they're just going to play it safe. They understand the zone's closing in 10 seconds. They could force the action directly towards them. And if that's going to be the case, Greatsword needs to bubble directly where the zone's going to end, toss the defensive bombardment in. And you need to, what happens in these situations, if you make the play before the other team and you don't allow them to really set up, you're going to be in a really great spot. The problem is if you don't place the bubble in the right spot, the defensive bombardment is mistimed. And if all you got to do is bubble out right here, Wave needs to immediately put some of his fences inside of the bubble, and then they're going to be in a great spot. I think this is great plays from Who. I would have loved to see Meowdy play this a little bit aggressive, but either way, you can't be mad at them for playing the zone in the situation.
The competitive experience is going to be everything here, because Who's timing has to be perfect. You cannot allow this ledge to cover the defensive bombardment. You cannot allow Meowdy to take a reset, to not be under pressure during that rain from the sky. Vize's already dropped down to apply a little bit more, and I like this move, though it's risky from Who. It's that aggressive play that you wanted to see from the squad above this time around that might just net Who the win. Vize's playing real quiet up here, and out goes that Seer ult that we swapped to the gold helmet on him for. Cody's got that right back, and this zone is seconds away from exploding into chaos. Greatsword's planning out the move. He goes first, laying down that bubble. The defensive bombardment has to come through, and it already is, but he's punched out in his own bubble. The rest of Who dropped down to find that it's a 2v3, and there's nothing that they can do against Meowdy. Vize in a 1v1 can't clutch it up, and Meowdy chew through this lobby like Vagar this Sunday.
Nice job by Meowdy there, but they just staggered right there. Greatsword comes down, the bubble's in the right spot. He sticks one of the players. He has the damage down. Everybody needed to follow it up. The most important thing is that you need your Watson there to lay down fences in the bubble. Otherwise, that strategy just doesn't work. They need to understand the situation on how to counter what Meowdy was doing. Just a little bit of hesitation right there. Meowdy sees only one player drops down. They all full send in the bubble. And the rule is if you don't have a Gibby on your team and the bubble goes down, especially when the defensive bombardment goes down, where else would you go? You got to run into the bubble. You got to force the action. Great job by Meowdy understanding the situation.
It is just such a slim margin of error for Who there, and you understand how they lost control. Even then, it did get really close in the end game because these two teams are incredibly talented. I want to take a look back at how this game transpired, because I'll be honest, Tom, the way that we saw the control of the end game and the slow pacing for Meowdy and Who was completely uncharacteristic of the rest of the game.
It was great to watch how these two juggernaut teams basically fought it out over towards the end, but there was a lot of great plays, and you're seeing them right now. Chatamus Prime getting eliminated. This play from Awesome Tryhard to use this as AoE. You can see the two players get sucked in over towards the back. PK shot connects. It's only for 18, but that's all you need. The switch on over to the 3x flatline is what I liked a lot right there, because he was able to lay down well over 100 damage in way faster of a time than two PK shots would have did half the amount of damage from that type of distance. So almost virtual perfect plays the entire game from Meowdy. You love to see it. Could they played a little bit more aggressive towards the tail end? Maybe they would have got the grav lift and the black hole in. I would have loved to see them utilize that, because against a higher caliber team, say that they do qualify for Series E, they may get punished for playing that passive when they have been so strong.
In the 2 weeks that Meowdy has taken since last qualifier, they've made leaps and bounds of improvement. That aggressiveness that you're talking about, I'm sure it's coming for us, T squared. To hear a little bit more about Meowdy's third win of the day, I want to see what Yesa's got to say.
Meowdy goes back to back there on the wins here. Games 2 through 4 belong to the squad as they continue to be the strongest contender in our Series E qualifiers this season. We'll have to change Tom's. We'll just go to quick edit on Tom's picture there to make it 2 to 3 there for the squad. But Meowdy with another big win, and they pick up a great chunk of KP here. Once again, they had a 30-point game earlier on. This one's going to be a whopping 27, led by awesome Tryhard on that horizon with 8 kills. And I think Tom making a really good point talking about the aggression or the lack thereof in that late fight there from Meowdy, and it's something that Dia and I were talking about a little bit earlier. Teams have become more comfortable slowing things down a little bit in those later fights, not putting themselves in really tough positions. And I think it has led to teams being a little bit more adaptable in these late circles. That is, though, a situation where Meowdy's lack of aggression benefited them only because the circle pulled towards the low ground for them and forced Who off of the high ground where they had set down all of the Watson fences. But that's essentially a flip of the coin. If that goes to the side of Who in terms of that zone pull, Meowdy's slow play there would have meant they would have to fight through all of those Watson fences, deal with the pylon, which likely cancels out any sort of effective singularity from Awesome Tryhard. So that decision making, very important. In this game, it works out for Meowdy, and they take the win. And that brings us to our Mobile One High Performance moment here for game number 4. And an earlier fourth party from the squad, and this was what really got them rolling here into these final circles. ING battling it out. Yazik's the only one left and slept on trying to hold position inside of the building. They got the pylon down to provide a little bit of safety, and they want to get the res onto Psycho, but the problem is there's so much pressure. And Goat does get that final kill there onto one of the members of ING, and Fully Torqued jumps into the battle, but you know who's on their way. While they're able to clean up Slept On, Fully Torqued is not done yet because the pressure continues. You remember, ING is in the area, but they just go down, and Meowdy comes in to clean absolutely everybody up. They add more KP to their coffers here. They already had 6. They jump quickly up to 9, and all these teams that were hoping to get something rolling here, unfortunately, all wound each other in the process and allow Meowdy to come in and clean everything up. So well played from Meowdy in this fight, and of course, snowballs into their win here in Game 3. They've won 3 in a row. The question is, can they hit 4? Maybe 5? Can they hit the triple digits that they were so close to getting just a couple of weeks ago in our first qualifier here for Series E Apex Legends Season 6, excuse me. Jet lag there, getting me a little bit. T Squared and Dia will have all the answers for you when we come back in just a little bit.
When the chicken is this crispy and this tasty, it doesn't matter what else is for dinner. Tyson crispy strips are so delicious, they'll be your favorite part of every meal. More crispy chicken, more family faves, more to love. Tyson.
Welcome back, everyone, to Series E Qualifiers for Season 6, day number 3, where Meowdy have just taken their 3rd win in a row. Let's take a look at the Mobile 1 leaderboard to see how many points they've got. As I already know, but it's important that we visualize the fact that Meowdy have now surpassed their performance in week number 1. 92 points in 4 games to 93 points in 4 games. And Meowdy are looking so good with the way that they've been able to orchestrate these mid-game and late-game fights that are really standing out to me to set themselves up for success. Their play around bullying squads into each other, putting teams in no-win situations, and then ultimately taking the game away from who in such a way, defending themselves from Gibraltar ultimates, means that they are not just playing with their best game in mind, but they're playing with the knowledge of what other teams' strengths are and how they can bully squads that don't have defensive capabilities, that aren't running a Gibraltar and are using that Horizon Valkyrie sort of combination and say, well, you don't have an opportunity to actually protect your squad mates. Or, in the case of with the Gibraltar, saying, hey, well, you can't actually hurt us if we just have cover. So we'll just vibe. It's real scary, and it's about to get scarier, because we're popping into game number 5 of the day, the penultimate one, where these teams, I guess, are going to try and take down the final boss of Meowdy.
Yeah, they've been absolutely nutty so far, and you really can't play better than what Meowdy's been doing. They even got a little bit lucky over towards the backhand side of Dome, where instead of a third party coming in behind them and forcing and pinching them and sandwiching them, they had another team come out and almost help them as they almost lost out on one player. And realistically, I can't remember how many times Meowdy was knocked throughout that game individually. I think we only saw 1 or 2 knocks actually going down, a 50-50 going down. Could be possibly over towards the fragment side. No, this time over towards Harvester. It's going to be Buff Amos. That's the wingman. So powerful early in the game for Locks.
Really nice shots from him. McLovin almost burned to a crisp. Had me worried for a second. But now with the control that Buff Aim Assist have, it is looking unlosable for them, since they've already cleaned up 2 kills so far, and 705 are down to just their Valkyrie, who's surprisingly taken a little while, a leisurely bit to loot before hoping to leave this POI. Oh. I guess
multiple fights taking place. We have Skyhook going down, LTC getting involved, and typically this happens, and we saw it happen in game number 4, where the pace starts to pick up, especially when a team starts putting up so many points. Everybody realizes the pace needs to continue. Who getting eliminated? That's going to be ING picking up some much-needed kills over here. But once you see a team's at 90 points, you almost have to start landing on other teams, taking fights that you wouldn't typically take, because they're starting to run away with this, not only today, but the overall leaderboard.
I'm surprised that who have ended up contesting so often, especially because just yesterday I was admiring how consistent their placements were. The placements really the difference between them and a lot of other squads that were opting for these high kill games. This time around, opting into the 50-50 has really hurt that, whether it's their choice or no. Ray is, for the moment, really hurting as well with that PK, surprisingly not finding the knock.
Yeah, what was that? It was like 500 damage right there. 243 actually, so that player is, what, around 7 HP has to be, in terms of the Watson coming in and doing the best Asu impersonation. You love to see it. Boffy going for some Revenant type climbing over towards the side, but he eats some serious wingman shots from Lily.
Gets sniffed out on that play. Now, Raze should be able to get this res, and with a nice Arc Star from Holiday to cover, things are looking not doomed for the Ruse, as they sometimes have been in these games. Eating a little bit too much damage early on. They still do need to find a way to clear their roof, but the puzzle that was unsolved at least isn't taking them out of the game. And Boffy's able to heal up, provide that extra utility up against FA Bunnies, who on the roof with this Watson Newcastle should be almost impossible to take down.
Yeah, I like this push on over towards the roof to kind of get back on over towards where they need to be. Now, with all the fences, it doesn't really make sense to go and drop down. What you're looking for is you need to utilize the roof to scout for third parties, realize once the third parties are going down, what's going to be the play. This team's obviously shown aggression already, especially with the composition that they're running. So once you get an opportunity and you open something up, you get that initial damage, then you can full send over here and retreat back on over towards the roof where you have the cover.
I just don't see FA Bunnies losing this. At this point, even, I'd say that sitting here is a lose-lose situation for both teams. The Ruse taking this engagement over time are just going to attract attention, and oh my god, why are we dropping here? What is going on? We are full on aping it in the end, as Sapphire Flawless on this Watson has fallen to the ground, giving Ruse the opening they needed.
They found the opening thread, and it was just a mess up right there. There's no really other way to put it. I mean, you're going to have the ultimate coming down from Fuse, and that's going to buy a little bit of time to push on over towards the roof. And once that happens, you kind of get a little bit demoralized. They're putting in some serious damage. That's going to be Moonshine getting the knock. They're on to Holiday, but Echo 21 ends up going down. The flush comes through, which is pretty miraculous, to be honest with you. The fact that they were able to even get one throughout all of this. It's going to be another push coming in on over towards the side. There's the third party, and that's what I was worried about for these two teams. This fight's been taking place for so long.
I mean, you watch enough Apex and you just know the pace of it, right? You called it out, Tom, but Zero Marksmen know that this fight should be easy pickings. And we know from the outside that there's not a single squad that has its full 3 members in here. With a Horizon that has been picked up in this meta, you've got easy access to the roof, and Zero Marksmen just have got to play this smart. Can't take too much of a risk pushing up to that roof with no information, but Seer scans, Horizon gravity lifts, even just a Valkyrie flank can dismantle the 2-man squad on top, and a unfortunate Gibby who was trying to escape and just couldn't quite get the angle. FA Bunnies, they're gone. Papa Midget gets a reset, and we've got a 4th party coming in.
Yeah, this is a very popular spot inside of the zone, so it's definitely possible there's going to be more coming in after that. You're going to see the Seer ultimates going in all over the place, exhibits everywhere, and got more exhibits than a Pimp My Ride out here right now. Dia slept on starting to push out, and this is getting a little bit nutty because now you wonder, where are the rest of the big dogs in this lobby? Where's the team rotating from Lava Siphon and from Big Mod? And this is where I'm glad I'm not playing Seer, because you have to keep track of everything.
Yeah, calling things out like this is really where Bloodhound becomes really useful, because you hit scan and your teammates just see everything. But the comms have got to be insane from Slept On to be able to win this out, and I'm glad they're kind of pulling the trigger on disengaging right now. Fence line pretty darn effective for that, even as they take shots from height, and it's a much less risky play to just fully disengage and get yourself another building in fragment, because honestly, most zones aren't ending at height there anyways.
A little slower pace than game number 4, but still fairly fast pace overall with the fighting that was going on over towards construction building. And this is a odd spot to be fighting based on where the zone's going to be. It makes me wonder where this team has to be rotating from. This could be the team that landed Thermal and then ended up rotating outside from Tree, facing off each other, as Gita is going to be taken out. Q through the wall shows that nobody is coming around the corner, so that's a very smart play to go and check your back as you want to go and take this fight. Chatham's Prime now putting in some serious damage. We saw how strong they were at team fighting in the previous game. Unfortunately got caught inside of the vault. I love this push to get rid of the Seer ultimate, and now they just need to hunt down these players inside of the zone, and they're not going to be able to get away. You can see 2 knocks, 1 flush already, and only 1 player remaining.
And in the zone, it is so difficult to run and heal at the same time when especially a Dam on your tail has that gold shield to keep chasing you down, and every bit of damage really counts. The fact that Chatham's Prime are playing this a little bit slow gives them the opportunity to instead grab the heals off of these bodies and then make their way forward, while Zero Marksmen, playing things not slow at all, have managed to take the roof, and one of our skirmishing squads that was highlighted in week 1, making top 5 just barely, has managed to clinch themselves a powerful position outside of the ring.
Not a lot of ammo coming in for the car, but you do have the reserves for the scout. This is an ideal type of setup for a Valkyrie too, so I love to go and see how Karma's going to go and play this one. The rest of his teammates going to head on up the zip line. While that's happening, you wonder, was Karma going to go up from the opposite side? There goes the exhibit. There goes the grab lift. They focus one player on over towards the side, realize the positioning. Also a great missile swarm to boot. Everybody using their utility at the right moment. Unfortunately, not all three players made it up. Goat's a little bit late. They stagger just a little bit too long, and they're taking extra damage. If a third party does come in, this could be horrible for Slept On.
What a strafe from Psycho, staying alive in the most crucial of moments, and Karma beaming with the G7 on the way down. I love watching Slept On play fights like this, and Zero Marksman, having lost the one, have lost control of this fight. Goat lose a little bit as well, having missed out on the chance to save Goat, and Psycho and Karma don't have a whole lot of defensive options up on this roof. Great scan to eliminate the chance to heal, get a little bit more loot, but still, in a 2v2, things aren't looking too easy. Papa Midget's gone down for the moment, and Psycho's got very little effective HP to work with, only really a PK in hand. Karma doing the majority of the work, the heavy lifting on this low ground, overworking himself with this car, and keeping it from being close at all. Karma is on another level right now, as Psycho comes down to join, hopefully wiping out this squad. He's down now, and it's all in the hands of Karma, who's gotten this one knock. Needs a swap real quick, but can't afford to stick around to stick it. Gets the shield back for the moment, and it's going to be a fight at full HP between the last two members of Zero Marksman and Slept On.
I like this idea. You go for the extra kill there. One, to secure the point. Two, so you can force Voski onto the ground and say, hey, he's thirsty me, he's thirsty me. That could cause a chain reaction in the communication, and he hasn't healed yet. With the zone closing in, this is the time to go and do it. You don't have time to dilly-dally over here.
Oh, no.
And that's where the punishment will come in from Karma. Perfect timing to go up that zip line. Voski just a little bit slow on hitting that med kit. Really didn't stand a chance with no HP.
The dilly-dally was deadly there, Tom, and I'm glad you called it out because we got to see it happen. Medkit, really, the slow from that being the difference. Chatamus Prime are making their own moves, and with slacking down, it's up to Dam and Southpaw to make this work. Unfortunately, a few too many angles opened up, and now Southpaw is the one that needs to make it happen. Chatamus Prime go down, and it's to buff aim assist to out-angle them at every point in that fight.
Meowdy looking for the push with the gold R3L1 in the hand of Garrett. He has also got the Volt in the back pocket. A dangerous combo for any player, especially someone as talented as Garrett. But it's just a matter of when are they going to push in over here. They need to gather the information. They need to get rid of the fences. One player on the outside looking like he wanted to go for the one clip, but Garrett not able to connect on the shots now. It's all up to Awesome Tryhard, basically. If they can just get him in there with the grav lift, maybe start to push a little bit further with the black hole. That's all they needed. Cody going to start in with the exhibit. Now comes the PK shots. There goes the black hole. And we've seen this order of operations in terms of team fighting so much from Meowdy in the past. Grenades on top of grenades. Q on top of Q. Nobody's standing a chance inside of this building. You can see where they're located at. You can see how weak they're at. They're doing whatever they can. Great job healing overall, but Awesome Tryhard, if he could just hit a battery, then he's going to have a huge advantage. Cody and Tryhard elect to go for the battery. I love that play. Trying to get more HP so he can finish the job.
Garrett knocked and thirsted, but Meowdy still have so much control just over this building. With a third party coming in, though, that control's starting to slip away. Awesome Tryhard's looking for the shield swap in the Loba ult, and it ends up happening as they block the door with the grab lift and have to go for the finish now more than ever. Cody's down, but it's a 1-for-1 as King Proverb goes out as well. Atlas are now down, and Meowdy, having secured the 2 KP that came with that push, will likely be leaving us in 7th place. Placement points are theirs, and Awesome Tryhard, try as you might. We've seen the 1v2s, but the 1v3's a little too much.
Buff aim assist with a great third party. Here comes the fourth party inside of the door, and this is the building of death at this point. You really didn't expect to see so many teams over here. It's going to be ING, but everyone's been waiting the wings, waiting for these sound cues. An immediate push. McLovin taking on over towards the sky. No one was expecting the immediate push from inside of the building. You can see all that Advent's trying to do, staying alive on this Mirage. Team Revenge waiting in the wings. Possible EMP coming in for Carlon. He's going to go and recall that drone, gathering some information for Styx and Lily. But what an aggressive play from McLovin and his squad.
In a game like this, how do you have white shields, though? That's my real question for Team Revenge. Carlon sitting here on the outside with only 150 HP. Everyone else is a raid boss comparatively in the HP department. And Buff Aim Assist get their free reign to be able to make their move into the center of Lava Fisher. Even eaten damage. Key has gone down! And Buff Aim Assist might lose one. They managed to keep their Horizon alive. Stick in the res now. Unpushable in this position. And the nades simply aren't following up. With a gold backpack res, they're right back in the fight, and Buff Aim Assist are going to repel from down here with a black hole in front of them. Key gets knocked again from another squad on the outside, and it's up to McLovin to cover these two as they make their reset known. In comes the CRQ to get a little bit of a scan. McLovin absorbs pressure again, and this gold bag is really making overtime work for Buff Aim Assist.
This is huge because they're filtered in between so many different teams right here. You can see one team on over towards the right, another team directly in front of them, another team on over towards the left. This is not the ideal situation for Buff Aim Assist, but there's really nothing that they can do unless they want to try to throw down a Q and make their way up, or even just say, hey, you know what, let's just push the squad that's directly in front of us, get to a little bit of a safer area, and bully our way through here. That's exactly what Buff Aim Assist decided they want to do. Shots, EMPs, everything coming against Buff Aim Assist in this situation, and they're still living.
Of course he slides back down. Of course Lux goes for that extra peek. They've lost McLovin, but again, they've still got gold bags to pick him back up, and they've repelled another push with knocks of their own. Key going to be able to defend for the moment, but McLovin can't get back up. Not just yet. Not with so many squads looking at them. Buff Aim Assist, they honestly confuse me. Is the saying, Tom, that the best offense is a good defense, or the best defense is a good offense? Because at this point, they're playing the best of both worlds.
This is absolutely insane. They have double gold knockdowns, which really helps with these reses going forward. But why aren't the other teams? That's what I start to wonder. I'm like, why is no one else shooting each other? Why are they just shooting us? That's where I start yelling at the game.
The focus does seem a little bit unfair. When you look at Buff Aim Assist's performance, they've just got something else going on. Something that ING, and especially Dame, unfortunately don't right now. The tenacity to stay up isn't that easy. And with Slept On right above them, pushing up on ING, Buff Aim Assist may get their go button a little sooner rather than later. They wrap around up top. The carbine comes through from McLovin, and while it doesn't find a knock, Audiovant is super low, with Buff Aim Assist waiting extra moments for the grab lift up. They've got to push onto them that just doesn't work from Psycho, and they get another KP funneling down into them. 11 kills for this squad so far. The squad that simply cannot die.
They refuse to go down. The pushes are really smart from the enemy teams, but you can see that they lost out on a single player. That's why Psycho said, I'm going to full send it over here. Karma ends up going last. Slept On eliminated in 5th place. But Buff Aim Assist, they just refuse to lose throughout this situation. This is probably the hardest situation they've been in now, though. It's a 3-on-3-on-2. They need to get out of there. That's exactly what they do. Perfect grab lift into the shots. Key follows it back up. The Q from McLovin, too. Holy cow, Buff Aim Assist trying their hardest in these final 2 games to catch up to Meowdy, to close the gap a little bit, secure their spot into Series E, and they couldn't pick a better time to do it.
How do you even play against players like this, against Buff Aim Assist, when they're on this level? It's a 3v3 between they and Team Revenge, who have 1 kill and a blue shield still in their inventory. The fact is that with a Watson, it might be the only saving grace of Team Revenge that they've at least got some defensive capabilities. But in what is essentially a glorified and very unfair arenas match, this should be a Buff Aim Assist win with a Kraber in hand for Lux as well.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how they're going to approach this situation. I like the idea of getting on up to the high ground as much as possible, going for that skyward dive. Keep that Kraber in hand. You could really open things up with that, but they need to make their move now because going up the hill in that type of instance is very difficult. This is the perfect call for Buff Aim Assist at the perfect time. Now they don't have to filter their way into one particular area. They're going to gather information on over towards the sky, and that's how you do it. Buff Aim Assist not only shooting out of their minds, but making the correct decisions.
And they haven't been EMP'd either. That's got to be the cooldown that's coming. It's the one thing that could equalize this fight, but Nox already gone down before the EMP even connects. It's a 2v3, and while Buff Amethyst are missing a few shields where they're slowed for a few seconds, it is nothing compared to the pain that Team Revenge are experiencing. Carlon's blue shields are non-existent as Lox out-angles him, and McLovin takes the fourth floor, eating that initial damage, but opening up Buff Amethyst for one of the most incredible wins I've seen all day.
That was so tough. One of the most incredible wins we've seen in a long time because of the odds that were stacked against them. Numerous knocks, 3 or 4 teams surrounding them at any given point in time. Teams sending it to them at multiple different areas. Not much you can do in that situation besides hope and pray and just fight like hell. That's exactly what they were able to do. Great timing on terms of when to go for the reses, great use of the knockdown shields when they had it, and having 2 players with gold knockdown shields, Dia, really came back to prove useful. It started very early over towards the Harvester side, and it ended with a fantastic 3v3.
And this is the level of play that I was expecting from Buff Amethyst all day that's been really unfortunately routed by squads like Meowdy and Slepton going for these great pushes. But Buff Amethyst have finally stabilized, and even in the qualifiers, we're seeing the improvement that is so crucial for this squad. The quick adaptability for Buff Amethyst has set them apart from almost every other squad in the lobby, just because they're the only ones that are even able to be close to keeping pace with teams like Meowdy, with the consistency and frag potential. Slepton got close, and man did they farm up in Fragment. But once we ended up moving to Lava Fissure, a POI that people very rarely have the opportunity to practice, things just went out the window.
Yeah, this was wild. I mean, there was so many different opportunities for third and fourth parties right there. You saw everything that Slepton was doing. I thought that was, down to a T of how you play Apex by the book there by Awesome Tryhard, hitting multiple armor swaps inside of that Lobo ultimate. But there was too many teams surrounding them in that very instance, and that's where a majority of the action started to filter towards. And that's the type of lobby that we have right now because of the pace that Meowdy set. Everybody wants that first place spot out of their hands. They want to catch up, and they understand the assignment that you have to play aggressive right now.
I mean, aggression has been terrifying, and with one more game left to go, it's up to Yeso to set us up for what on earth we're about to see.
Buff Amethyst with a strong performance here in game number 5, able to finally stop that reckless charge there from Meowdy at the top of the standings. 3 games in a row for them, but Buff Amethyst stopped their streak at 3 with a very big win for them, especially when you consider that they're trying to keep Meowdy within reach on that overall leaderboard. Buff Amethyst, though, showing up strong here. A 16-kill performance here in game number 5, led by iLox. Solid damage, 7 kills and 4 assists. Key with a great game. McLovin all across the board. Everybody was participating, contributing, and a big part of why Buff Amethyst take this game. And I love Tom was breaking it down during the game, them holding the low ground, covering those couple of stairways, and multiple teams try to push in, creating openings, but Buff Amethyst just not missing and cleaning up those fights so well, and it's a big reason why they stayed alive to get the win with this final fight, which is our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 5. We'll pull this one up for you and take a look at just how Buff Amethyst cleaned up this final fight here. Revenge trying to hold inside of this building, but good early shots here from Lox and the squad, and then they're able to clean up. And the big problem is they get Carlin backed into a corner, and these well-placed Valkyrie rockets, the missile swarm, able to clear out that door. And despite McLovin going down, the other two got their back here. McLovin and Key getting in there to clean things up, and that early knock onto Lilico just means that now you've got that 3v2 push. You can play aggressively, you can play confidently. You've got another one to flesh here, even when Styx is able to get the heal up there. And you're never gonna win this fight as Revenge. Unfortunately, you've just taken too much damage. You're at the numbers at disadvantage here, and it's a quick and easy cleanup from Buff Amethyst. So really dotting their I's, crossing their T's in that final fight. It's why they grab a huge win. I'm looking forward to seeing how things shape up on our Mobile One leaderboard when we come back. T-Squared and Dia will have the final game of the night for you when we return.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. If there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
What am I to do with this? I'm headed to the top of the game and it's getting, but I'm finna handle it. Break it down like an analyst. I'll be loading up, they wanna package this. Pray for peace, pacifist. I'm never old enough to give a promise.
We have had some bonkers games today, and with us coming up on Game 6 T-Squared, there is no better time to check in with the Mobile One leaderboard for our qualifiers for Season 6 of Series E, where Meowdy still haven't cracked 100 points, but Buff Aim Assist are also not too close to catching up to them, despite an almost 30-point game.
Yeah, it's been a miraculous display of Apex across the board here. Everybody is playing out of their minds, understanding the assignments. There's one day of qualifiers after this last game here, so everybody has to play their best. It's flown by. Hey, Season 5 flew by. We've been having a good time, and you know what they say. So when we see this type of Apex, it just makes you wonder how lit this next season's going to be.
I mean, the adaptability of these squads, I talked about it for Buff Aim Assist, but their ability to be able to react to the rest of the lobby, even within just these 5 games that we've experienced so far, really had a chance to shine in game number 5. And Meowdy, I would argue on the opposite end of that, refusing to react to the rest of the lobby and just taking them all down, are both really impressive in their own rights, and the way that these styles are interacting with each other is fascinating. Will the last game be Meowdy running over everyone? Who's to say? Maybe Vote Famous to get their chance at a second win. But the tenacity that BAA showed us last game blew me away. And I want to see these last two squads as our final two squads in Game 6.
Oh, no doubt about it. They kind of deserve it. They deserve it at this point. Like, let's be honest. The way that they were able to, again, manipulate the lobby. I think that's one of the great things that you brought up, is forcing the other teams into mistakes that they're not usually used to making. Revenant's being locked in. Ash is there. Who's going to be the third pick? Is it going to be Crypto? Is it going to be Octane? A handful of different legends would grow great with the Ruse composition. Valkyrie. So right. I don't know about that. You know, hey, it's like it's like a mullet, all right? They're like, I don't really get what they're going for over here. Business in the front, party in the back. I don't know what that composition is.
They like half committed, and then we're like, no, we're gonna take it seriously. We're gonna play Ash. Well, you know, we'll see how it works out for them. I have seen Revenant squads actually perform pretty well in the final couple games of ALGS preseason qualifiers, mainly because people get a little bit more fast and loose with it. They're able to play their style with a lot more confidence. Odin Gamers whipped it out over in EMEA, so I don't mind it, but it will definitely likely be a drop in the bucket for this game, because the amount of kills that you need to rack up are basically impossible at this point to be able to top the leaderboards, and it's more about getting yourself into those top 5, so you at least have an argument to be made for why you should be considered for Series E. Meowdy are taking a fight already. Somebody's dropped right next to them in Lava City, and you've got to imagine that if you're going up against Meowdy in Lava City, you know exactly what kind of fight you've picked.
And this is tough because you don't have many resources here. You could see the ammo situation, the lack of cells coming in from Garrett. It's time to kind of loot up over here, and that's exactly what Garrett's thinking. Curious which team is psycho enough to go and challenge them. Makes me wonder, it is going to be Underworld, actually. I thought it was possibly going to be a team contesting them for first place.
Yeah, Underworld have often landed in Lava City, or sorry, not Lava City, Dome, and just waited for the fight to come to them, so I guess they just had enough of this being a fight on Meowdy's terms and instead decided to close that gap. Unfortunately for them, they didn't get the knocks they were looking for, they didn't get that full squad wipe, and both teams are getting the chance to reset with only half the loot. Another third party's coming in, and Meowdy, despite the fact that they're at 97 points, if they pick the wrong fight now, might not actually be able to break 100 before the day's out.
Yeah, launch site completely evacuated over here. A lot of that action is going to happen over towards the Harvester Choke. All those teams over towards the northwest. Many teams over towards the northeast as well, looking to potentially collapse on this third party. Problem is what is going to be the team from Lava Siphon? What's their move? Are they going to go over towards Harvester and try to gatekeep, or are they going to make their way over towards launch site and slow play this one, or do they want to collapse over towards Lava City, understanding multiple teams flew over there?
Hey, there's a lot of options open to them. The decisions that are attracting my eye now are those happening over by countdown, however, since we've got 4, 5 teams all stacked on top of each other. The fights that are going to break out over here are legendary, and the Ruse are already picking theirs with some nice shots from Holiday to open things up, but no knocks to follow it. These teams are going to get even closer, while the Ruse get a little thirsty for the kills.
Yeah, the Ruse are playing a thirsty composition, so might as well. And I actually really enjoy playing all the legends on this team. I feel like Revenant, while he is, one of the lower pick rates overall, this is tough though. You can see a pitch is coming in from both sides. Big 100 damage coming in from Holiday, but there's 2 teams here. One in the back, Riot Drill is there. They need to get out of here and reset.
Buffy's taken down willingly, though, and this is the thirst play. Ruse just want a little bit more action today, and with the elimination of that door, Who and AOG end up joining it. The structure is following the same as the teams. Holiday's got a great beam on Echo that ends up keeping him alive and eliminating FA Bunnies. Ruse aren't the last squad here, though, and as to whether it's kept them safe or not, I still don't know. Interruption's not going to happen on Holiday's heel, but Redeem are thinking about going for this. And for a squad that's been really quiet today, that has not had the best qualifier run, they are pushing their luck as a Rev Totem gets absorbed by Joey, Blackout, and Crojo.
The shots with the L-Star, such an underrated weapon overall, but Joey Blackout taking some damage over towards the side. It's going to be a Ghosty coming through, and the Revenant grief is real.
It's so difficult to deal with. Redeem already have lost one, and Ak is on 1 HP. That silence would kill him if he walked into it, and shots from across don't take him out. Things are on a knife's edge, and for a squad that picked that fight, they have lost control of it very quickly. ING have come in to try and clean this up, and it will happen as another squad gets wiped out. 16 teams left, and ING, even with this Mirage, are making it work.
They really are. ING, such a strong team overall. Now Garrett is looking to push on top of the Lava City roof. They've already lost out on Cody. He's been flush. It's going to be a little bit of a back down as they understand the exhibit is going to be played. They have the banner, so might as well just go hit the res while you can and then potentially come back for the third party. I love that play.
Underworld down one as well. Makes me wonder if this third party did in fact happen, and evidently it has. Modsk actually putting in overtime on this Valkyrie, staying alive even in this doorway. A great interrupt on the heel, pushes back 705, who have barely collected any points today with the one kill that they could find just on the team right below them. The fact these health bars are blinking, 705 have got to be pushing themselves to the next level. It's their first appearance in the finals so far, and at this rate, it may be their last unless they can turn things around.
Facts. The res comes in onto Antio, and it looks like the cells are going to be popped. There goes the grab of coming in from behind, and I love the play to go for the third party. Ruse getting eliminated. As you also see the PK coming in hands for Dutchy. That's 705 Esports making their way over towards the top of Lava City, but where is the team in first place? Where is Miati? Did they hit the res over towards Lava City, or did they continue to push over towards Geyser and Big Mod? Could be a little bit more free, a little bit more open. Buff aim assist now over towards the thermal station. Big nade coming in for Key. You can see the exhibit is there right next to McLovin. He hasn't gotten the memo to shoot that thing, and it gets rid of it. The own exhibit is going to show exactly what the rest of these players should have skedaddled to, and they are out of there.
Yeah, it's a nice play from Buff Aim Assist, and on this high ground, a pretty safe one as well. Once you push everybody off with the Arc Stars, you've got supremacy, but now being rocked up on from behind, McLovin's the one to stop that push with a nice Kraber shot directly to the chest. He's looking for that headshot because one knock could turn things around, but it doesn't quite work out for Buff Aim Assist, as they've got to take a chill pill, sit back down and consider their options. Zone's not pulling here. They've picked a fight for KP's sake, and at the moment, it's putting them in a little bit of a tight spot when they consider how they're going to actually leave this choke.
Atlas now with a couple of sky grenades as you see Moonshine getting eliminated. Big nade there for 100 damage from Proverb. He gets the knocked onto Obsess, coming in with Kobe nades from the sky. You love to see it. Back-to-back ones. Those are not easy to hit there, Dia.
And they just decide, you know what? It was cool enough. We're going to get out of here while we still can. Buff Aim Assist don't get to come around fast enough to take out this Valkyrie, but LTC don't make it either, as we've got the flight of playing in our heads. Two Valkyrie squads take to the skies and make their way down a little further south towards the launch site where we know this zone is going. Buff Aim Assist get to turn on to the one other squad that's still around here. Has the res gone off in the meantime? Lux looking for these kills, ends up finding that last player just on the edge of vision, and it should be another couple kills going to Buff Aim Assist. Purple Shield makes it a little bit more difficult, but BAA are still in charge of their own destiny here and are continuing to pressure other squads.
It's one of the great things about Apex. The sound, even though people complain about the footsteps, just the sound in general is so cool. When your Evo shield charges up, hitting those shots makes you feel really good. What was that?
What?
Was that a player hiding in the rock, behind the rock? Ooh, I have no idea what that was.
Why didn't he shoot him? What's going on? ING are all the way over here, so there's a chance that was a Mirage decoy left behind by ING, who have now, I think, wisely disengaged. They don't have that much mobility. We both got bamboozled. We really did.
Cast boozled.
Baited, even though we have all the full information as well. That is, I think, a testament to the way that Audie's been able to play today. Despite that, though, a knock doesn't come through. They've got the better position in Harvester, and ING can't stop rotating now.
You know, I would love to see like the stats of decoy shot, because I feel like I'd set the record for that. I'm the king of getting bamboozled. I'm like, All right, man. Yeah, I got this player. He's no shields. Wait, that's actually not a person. Another skyward dive coming through. That's 3 in the area over here. As Buff Aim Assist is going to make a wide rotation all the way back over towards Thermal, making the way on over towards Tree. It's still just zone number 2, so this is A-okay. We'll be able to out-heal this. Not only that, they should even make it into the zone before the zone comes and collapses on them.
If history is any teacher, I'm taking a look at that map right now. I believe buffed aim assist were the last squad in the area with only 9 left. 2 are playing inside of launch site, waiting it out for a zone. One of which, Chatamus Prime, a squad that I had high hopes for today after they pulled out a 2nd place in our 2nd day of the qualifiers, but who have been rather quiet with all of the skirmishing going down. They normally get the chance to abuse their mechanics and their really nice peak ability, but the third parties that have ruled today's lobby have really shut Chatamus down.
Yeah, Chatamus has been caught a couple of times off guard, but their team fighting capability is still extremely strong. Just take a look quickly at that map to find out where exactly these teams should be fighting. And it looks like they want to get the fight going in the back of Tree. This is Buff Aim Assist, who had a fantastic game number 5, trying to capitalize, maybe going for back-to-back over here. This is the pace we were hoping for in that final match. Wingman still in the hand for Locks. He picked that thing up early. Watson fences all over the place.
We've still got an opportunity to push this as they unfortunately cannot lock the doors. McLovin gets a sick knock with the Kraber as well. The damage from Key was impressive, but even more so, that shot at close range. McLovin's able to survive, and Eaton shots in the back now. Buff Aim Assist have got to play the backside of this building. Car's still out in a great horizon. Ends up stopping the push, even actually taking down a member with a really nice thermite to assist on that burn. BAA, keep this push up. Walking into the Watson fences and destroying Atlas inside the building. They fought a war on 2 fronts, and they won both of them.
This is what you love to see from teams like Slept On. Teams that can really turn it up at any given moment. Don't count them out yet. This is why their team name is Slept On. They still have an opportunity. Hey, that's not a decoy. That guy has a PK.
And they managed to take him out, thank the Lord. Slept On at least won't be bamboozled today. Not like this, but Meowdy coming up on them does make me worry, because not many squads have survived this encounter. They've finally broken the 100-point mark and setting themselves among the record keepers for being able to hit 100 points in 6 games. Meowdy are looking to make that a few more. Out comes the Horizontal defensively for Slept On, as Goat still needs to take a medi to make himself feel more comfortable. Unfortunately, they've been out-angled and Goat's got nowhere to go. He's down, and Slept On are in a 2v3.
Yeah, they need to get out of there. Carmen needs to hit a battery in any type of safe spot, but he's inside of the Seer Ultimate. Elects to go and lock and close that door, but they already have multiple players in the vicinity. Garrett with the R301 should have that gold. R301 still in his back pocket. The one clip comes through, but it's just not enough. The res from Awesome Tryhard will get them back into the game. Now Buff Aim Assist trying to capitalize on the sounds that they heard, but they are just way too far from that fight to get anything going. Great 3v3 right there, and you saw 2 Juggernaut teams going head-to-head.
At least you got to go out with a bang. The one clip did look really cool and could have changed the game had they had just 2 more members up. Slept On got caught just a little bit unprepared with the amount of damage that they had taken in the previous fight, and Buff Aim Assist are hoping to do the same to squads that are already packed up in launch site. They're opting for a position that I believe is unoccupied, with just this little bit of territory still left to them, and now, after collecting the KP, are locking themselves in for an endgame play.
It's typically how you would go throughout this situation, is evaluate how many kill points that you have and then try to pick up those placement points. I love that, but right now what you're trying to do is avoid a fight unless it's you know it's going to be clean. And I love the fact that Buff Aim Assist took the opportunity to slow it down, understanding the situation in the lobby. With the zone really starting to close in, they need to figure out which part of launch site this is going to pull towards. The majority of the times it will continue to go over towards that southeast side, which you can see Carlon, Lily, and Styx setting up for. But this is the information that we've all been waiting for should show up here any type of second. It's directly in the middle of launch site, actually. So now all those teams from the southern side will have to make their way towards the middle. And that middle area, right where the wording says launch site, is the powerful spot.
I'm feeling really bad for Chadamus Prime right now because I know Buff Amosist is going to have to push up on them. And more so, Buff Amosist won't have the opportunity to shut down Meowdy, who they desperately need to. Repositioning around the outside, Meowdy don't have to take any risks this early on. Instead, they can wait for the zone to keep closing and play these boxes around the outside. They are not the focus of this lobby, despite the fact that they have the most points. The position that they have, while safe, is not really enticing.
These are not the drones you're looking for, is what they're going for. They have so many points that it's not even fitting in the graphic, Dia.
I saw that early and was like, you know what, fair. But you can't really take into account teams breaking 100 points. It happens so rarely, T-Squared, and it really does speak to the caliber of this squad in this lobby. The Chadamus Prime run one of my favorite legends. I'm a Rampart and Ashe player myself. I don't mind seeing a Dam whip this out. I don't know how much value they'll be able to get out of it in an endgame should it come to that, because Chadamus Prime do have one of the deadliest squads in the lobby looking over at them and have a really difficult spot to defend as well, one that is easily third-partied by Meowdy.
Yeah, big fan of Ashe as well, and I'm wondering what would really make her change to make her a little bit more viable compared to other legends. Maybe that Q could be a little bit, shorter on cooldown. There goes the shots coming in from Adam. Nice tracking in the air with the 2-4 R301s. Got a lot of damage happening over towards his back. Can they get the door shut? Opportunity to full send here is now Locks with the scout. There goes the black hole on over towards the side, and Chadamus Prime is outie.
2v3's never done anyone ever any favors, especially not up against the likes of Buff Aim Assist. But we gotta keep our eyes on the third parties here, because even as Chadamus Prime still have Southpaw up, this guy can do serious damage and can absorb a lot of outside pressure. 5 teams left are gonna be whittled down even further, as we've got a squad sitting outside of launch site off to the north, waiting for everything else to collapse as well. We're down to 4 teams, and though Buff Aim Assist are in charge right now, there is still that power position that you were talking about that's been occupied by someone else.
Team Revenge now trying to place a spoiler over here. This is twice we've seen that over towards the end game 6 with the big burst interception pylon going on over towards the side. I believe that the first grenade was maybe eaten by the interception pylon. The second one wasn't, but I love the fences going on over towards the side. Big crack inside the building, but again, we're in a situation where if you take a fight and it's not clean, if one of your players and teammates get knocked, you're going to get third party, and you're basically gifting the game to the other teams.
Team Revenge are trying desperately to make this a sandwich. They don't have a good spot in ring. In fact, they're not in ring at all, not with where Styx is concerned. But what you'd love right now is for Meowdy to come help you out, to push out Chadamus Prime, and that's a situation that Meowdy are going to be happy to participate in. The team that has mind-controlled squads together have got to take this opportunity to make it a no-win situation for them both. Revenge, Chadamus, neither of them should benefit from this spot. Not if Meowdy have anything to say about it. And Garrett, looking for these angles, certainly does.
And I'm not surprised to see that Meowdy, the team in first place, takes the power position over towards launch site. You have so many different areas that you could play, because if you really need to, you could drop down below, hit the grab lift back up top from Awesome Tryhard, go for the third party from down below, and it's a completely viable situation. You can see one team is going for the skyward dive because they don't want to go and mess with the 2 teams that are directly staggered on top of them. So this could be potential free kill points for Meowdy. They're trying to play on over towards that low ground. That's not possible with a team at this current angle.
It's a good drop down from Meowdy, recognizing that this Valk ult should spell the demise of another squad. Polar Bear's still up, however, and Meowdy can't give up their power position just yet. So 4 teams will manage to succeed in at least being inside of this next zone. With 30 seconds left on this closing, it's Team Revenge that are going to have to reposition and likely find themselves in the worst spot. They don't have a building for cover. They cannot play the low ground, and they will be sandwiched in between Chadamus Prime and Meowdy unless they make a crazy push now.
And you can see what the thought process is from Meowdy. They just want to stay off of the radar, basically, play it low-key, and then wait for other teams to go and make the mistake. And there's a big opening right there from Key. There goes the EMP coming in across. Garrett's going to go and end one player. That's Polar Bear going out from Gita. with the Mastiff now in a 3-on-3-on-3 situation. And the two teams that are staggered next to each other are the teams to worry about, but a big overextend coming in, big wingman shots coming in from McLovin. Wingman Havoc is definitely a viable combo. Shots onto McLovin, though, back him off and slow things down temporarily. That could have been extremely ugly for Meowdy.
It's a miracle that Garrett is alive now, and Buff Aim Assist cursed that day that the wingman shot whiffed. They've got just these two squads ahead of them, but taking down Meowdy has never been more important, and they simply don't have the autonomy to do so. Team Revenge are just stymieing them at every single angle. Despite their terrible position, they have the Watson fences that are good enough to at least make no team want to push them. They've also got the crypto, that while the EMP is charging, they may have the opportunity to make use of in the end game. And right now, they just have to hold these doors. These small corners are all Team Revenge need to find their own first win of the day.
And Buff Aim Assist is the first team that has to go and push out, and that's why I love this play from Meowdy. Take the low ground, wait for these two teams to fight, wait for your opportunity, lay down the armor swaps down below, and it would be suicide to drop down here unless you're saying, hey, we got to take out Meowdy. We can't allow them to get the points, but it's 6. The first one to drop. That's the Watson coming in from Team Revenge. Now Lily and Carlon trying to do whatever they can. Buff Aim Assist with the push. Great angle from Key, and now it's just a matter of time if your Meowdy potentially takes over this high ground.
It's go time, but Key is down, and now it's time for Meowdy to go. You said it before, Awesome Tryhard knows it, and he rains down from the sky onto Buff Aim Assist, looking for the cleanup on both teams. We've still got both of them up, but Prob Garrett is absolutely going to fix that with an 84 Mastiff shot to the face. Lux is not long for this world. Revenge is gone, Buff Aim Assist is gone, and Meowdy win their 4th game of the day.
You really can't play any better than these teams just did, especially the way that Meowdy was, again, able to manipulate the map and the other teams into their advantage. Taking the low ground in that situation was genius. After they took over the power position, right where it said launch site, we talked about where those replicator bins were. That's a great opportunity to keep all the action directly in front of you. You saw Buff Aim Assist make their play, and as soon as they made their play and there was knocks on both sides, that was the opportunity for Meowdy to collapse. They did not waste any time in taking advantage of that situation, and that's how you play it by the book. Hats off to Meowdy and to Buff Aim Assist, but Meowdy, what a performance. 4 out of 6, Dia. That's insane.
And it's no fluke either. Their end games, not just this one, have been perfect today. When Meowdy make it to top 5, they are unstoppable. And honestly, in the 3v3s early, it's looking very similar. We saw so few games where Meowdy was eliminated early, and Buff Aim Assist, the closest to them, the only other squad to win a game today, having picked up 2 dubs on the day, still could not contest with the end game control, dominance, and knowledge that Meowdy had.
The teamwork. There's so many words to describe how they played. I'm just going to say they played like a team ready for Series E, Dia.
They really are, and for a little bit more on how this team might be integrating into Series E, what on earth we can expect from qualifiers tomorrow, we'll hear from Yeso.
Hats off to T-Squared and Dia crushing it on the cast. Shouts out to T-Squared sliding in there at halftime to get some games in. I know he's ready for the Series E and Pro League seasons, and we're ready to get underway. But one more day of qualifiers tomorrow. But looking back at tonight, it was the Meowdy show. 3 games in the row in the middle of the night, 4 wins overall as they close on that big victory. And I mean, it's about time to just lock them in as representatives in Series E for this season. Their probably most kind of ho-hum performance of the night in terms of their wins, but they still pick up 8 kills. It's a 20-point game and just so well played on the side of Meowdy. They've been hands down the most impressive team in qualifiers so far. There is no competition on that front, though. Have to give credit to Buff Aim Assist. They've been very, very good as well, but Meowdy has just been a step above, and that's why they are our winners here tonight. Let's check out our Mobile One high performance moment here and see how they got it done cleaning up in this final game. We've got Buff Aim Assist pressuring Revenge, and they get Revenge backed into this corner and take a little bit of a high ground position on them, but the problem is, as soon as they do so and they see that initial knock, Meowdy comes barreling into the fight, They take out McLovin early. The Rockets over top to prevent any sort of safety around that pylon. And then Garrett able to just hunt down Locks here with this Mastiff. Couple of good shots there, getting up to the high ground, and his teammates clean it up to grab the win. And we were talking earlier on today about Meowdy and their near triple-digit performance in week 1. Well, one extra game, and they are able to do it, and they absolutely were dominant here tonight. So let's, of course, take a look at our Mobile One leaderboard, see how everything ended out here tonight. And then we're going to take a look at our overall leaderboard for qualifiers to see where our teams stand. But there it is. Meowdy finishing with 117 points. Buff aim assist with an incredible night as well. And the fact that they only got one win but put up 91 points just speaks to the fragging ability and the consistency of Buff aim assist across all 6 games. They were in the mix game after game after game. They put up a ton of points here tonight and would have been our clear victors if Meowdy had not been here to win those 4 games the way that they did. So credit to both of those squads. Slept on, rounding out that top 3 with 57 points. And this leads us right to our overall leaderboard. Let's see where all of these teams stand in terms of the entirety of our qualifiers. Meowdy right now with an 80-point lead over Buff aim assist at 261 points. Who's still holding on to 3rd, but there's a very clear 1st and 2nd place, and then the rest trying to follow them up. So well done to Meowdy and Buff aim assist here tonight, and shout out to everybody who came out to compete. And remember, we do have one more night of Series Z Apex Legends qualifiers kicking off tomorrow, so make sure you are around for that. Of course, still some things yet to be decided on that front. I'm looking forward to kicking off the season very soon. We are so very close. One more time, production. Cool, awesome. That is going to be it for us tonight, folks. Thanks so much for coming to hang out with us here, and I hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did. My name is Yeso. As always, a pleasure to host for you all here for Series Z. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, thank you so much for joining us here tonight, and we will see you again tomorrow.